Holy Thursday stands as one of the most solemn and profound moments in the Christian calendar. On this day, time itself seems to slow, overshadowed by the weight of the divine mystery about to unfold. It marks the eve of Christ's crucifixion, a moment when his final teachings, actions, and words transcend centuries, echoing with eternal significance. Within the liturgy of Holy Week, Holy Thursday inaugurates the Paschal Triduum, 3 sacred days encompassing Christ's passion, death, and resurrection. For believers, this is the pinnacle of faith, observed with a reverence so deep it borders on silence, as if stepping onto hallowed ground where heaven has touched earth. More than a historical remembrance, Holy Thursday is an invitation, not merely to recall, but to participate with the heart. It commemorates Jesus' last gathering with his disciples before his betrayal, a supper far from ordinary. The bread and wine, once simple elements, became living signs of a new covenant between God and humanity. On this night, Christ instituted the Eucharist, the central sacrament of Christian faith, and redefined love itself. The Jewish Passover was transfigured into a new Passover, where he would become the sacrificial lamb. Thus, Holy Thursday is the moment the divine bowed before humanity, when the Master became the servant, and the kingdom of God revealed itself in paradox, through humility, sacrifice, and surrender. It was the day human history was forever altered, as heaven began its descent toward Calvary, and every gesture of Jesus became a beacon of redemption. The upper room, where eternity was sealed, the place Jesus chose for his final meal, was no accident. The upper room, a modest chamber in Jerusalem, became the stage for one of Christianity's most sacred events. As pilgrims flooded the city for Passover, families gathered to remember God's deliverance from Egypt. But this year something far greater unfolded. Jesus sent 2 disciples ahead to prepare the room, the lamb, the wine, and the bread. He knew this humble space would witness the birth of a new and everlasting covenant. The upper room, from the Latin synaculum meaning dining room, was transformed into an altar, its walls silently bearing witness to words that would echo through eternity. This was no ordinary meal. It was the intersection of divine and human, love and sorrow, heaven and earth. The disciples, though unaware of the full significance, sensed the spiritual gravity. The table became a symbol of unity, farewell, and the promise of redemption. Every action, the breaking of bread, the sharing of the cup, foreshadowed the sacrifice to come on Calvary. The upper room was also where Jesus delivered his final teachings, a private, tender conversation, like a spiritual will. Here, the mission of the Church was born. It is remembered not just as the site of the Last Supper, but as the cradle of Christianity, the launching point of a faith lived in communion. Within those walls, the cross drew near, betrayal stirred, and yet, Jesus planted the seed of eternity. What began as a simple meal became the moment humanity's destiny was rewritten. The Last Supper, from bread to sacrifice, the meal began like any Passover, but its meaning soon deepened. Jesus took bread, and with a gaze that pierced time, spoke words never to be forgotten. "This is my body, given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Luke 22:19. Then he lifted the cup. "This cup is the new covenant in my blood, shed for you." Luke 22:20. In that moment, the ordinary became eternal. The Last Supper became the institution of the Eucharist, the sacrament uniting believers with Christ in the most intimate way. This was no mere ritual. It was the fulfillment of prophecy. The new covenant sealed not with the blood of lambs, but with the blood of God's own Son. The broken bread foreshadowed his body, soon to be crucified. The poured wine pointed to his blood, soon to be spilled. The disciples, still grappling with the weight of his words, did not fully understand, but Jesus knew. He knew one would betray him, that the weight of sin would soon crush him, and yet, he loved to the end. The Last Supper was a sacred rehearsal for the cross, where every gesture and word whispered of the sacrifice to come. More than a farewell, it was a charge to live in remembrance of him, to love as he loved, to serve as he served. The table of the Last Supper became the birthplace of the Church, a call to give, bless, and break ourselves for others. In this act, Jesus showed that true love is action, surrender, and sacrifice. And so, the Eucharist remains the heart of Christian faith, where the cross is made present and hope renewed. On that night, heaven sat at the table with humanity, and nothing would ever be the same. The washing of feet, love on its knees. As the disciples absorbed his words, Jesus did the unthinkable. He rose, wrapped a towel around his waist, and knelt before each of them, including Judas, to wash their feet. In a culture where foot washing was reserved for slaves, this act shattered expectations. Peter, horrified, protested, "Lord, you shall never wash my feet." John 13:8, Jesus replied, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." John 13:8. This was more than humility. It was the essence of his mission. The King of Kings took the form of a servant, redefining greatness as kneeling, not ruling. "If I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's." John 13:14. The lesson was clear: to follow Christ is to serve, even those who may betray us. Only those who love like this can give themselves completely. And betrayal. In the shadows, amid the breaking of bread, Jesus revealed a painful truth: one of you will betray me. Matthew 26:21. The disciples, stricken, asked, "Lord, is it I?" Judas, already conspiring, received the bread, a final gesture of intimacy, before slipping into the night. This moment forces us to confront our own frailty. Judas walked with Jesus, witnessed miracles, shared communion, yet his heart grew cold. Betrayal begins when ambition drowns out faith. Yet Jesus washed his feet. He loved to the end, even when rejection was certain. The agony in the garden after supper, Jesus entered Gethsemane, oil press, where he was crushed under the weight of the world's sin. "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. His sweat fell like blood. The disciples slept. The battle was won not on the cross, but here, in surrender. The arrest, love's silent surrender. Judas arrived with soldiers, betraying Jesus with a kiss. Peter struck with a sword, but Jesus healed his enemy. One last miracle before the cross. "Shall I not drink the cup the Father has given me?" John 18:11. He was not captured, he surrendered. The Lamb chose the slaughter. Holy Thursday today, a living memorial. The Church still observes this day, with foot washing, Eucharist, and silent vigil, not as ritual, but as participation. Do you understand what I have done for you? John 13:12. The question lingers: will we love as he loved, serve as he served? Holy Thursday is more than memory. It is a mirror, a call, a chance to kneel beside the one who knelt for us. May this day be not just recalled, but lived.